And that whilst your purpose
that
never
you've signed up to
changes, your
and we share together
changes from
is
time
to
time.
be your best in all you do.
And greatness can only be measured by the difference between before you showed up and after you showed up. If I look at the number of people whose lives have been transformed by your voice, that's how we measure your greatness.
Good evening, everyone. Just in case you've never heard of me, I don't know where you've been. If you've never heard of me, you should have. But if you haven't, I assure you, you will never forget me after this experience. That is for sure. Your introduction is incredibly important. And, for some, it may be arrogance, but I assure you, I tend to back up everything that I brag about. And I do a heck of a lot of bragging because, like I always say, it's not vanity if it's true. So in order to be able to attract global alliances, really it's about value, and I know value is a cliche. We all talk about value, but you got to be able to answer the question of value from two questions. Number one, what do people gain when they hire you and your services? What do they gain? But more importantly, what do they lose if they don't have you? You know what I mean? So what do they lose if they don't hire you as a coach, as a speaker? If they don't have you in their orbits, what do they lose? And I think for many of us, the easier question is, what do they gain? And we can talk about all the really, really nice things that people gain when they interact with us, but really, what do they lose? And I think that's where the value becomes a lot more important for us to be able to position ourselves. Because unfortunately, many of us have not been able to communicate the value that we bring to the marketplace. Right now, as speakers, as thought leaders, I always say things that, and FD is taking you on this journey. But the beautiful thing about this is, we all see things and we see things in part. We all see different things. I may have a little bit of a divergent view. Doesn't mean that anything that FD said is wrong or whatever I said is right. It's just that in my experience, I've seen things that might be a little bit different. So for example, I know that, yes, there's the thought about as a speaker, as a coach. Thank you, Bolanle, perspective. As a speaker, as a coach, there's the conversation about, speaking about what you're passionate about. And I get that. And I agree with that to some degree. But I also recognize that for me, I have seen that beyond your message, what is much more important is the market. Because for me, I'm more about where's the money. Yes, I know that you guys want to make a difference. You guys want to impact the world. You want to change the world. And that's fantastic. But I also want you to be able to make a living from making a difference. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people make a difference. They can't make a living, right? But if you can make a living from making a difference, then it gives you a totally, maybe a little bit of a different perspective. So for me, when it comes to your messaging, and all of this is going to tie down to, still about alliances. A lot of us need to be able to make a living from making a difference. So my point is this: if you don't know what the market wants, it's pretty hard for you to offer something of value that they're willing to buy. So I've seen, for example, we can talk about this and we can talk about, I'm passionate about, this is my message. So I'll give you an example, real life example. A couple of years ago, I had this bright idea that I wanted to help single women position themselves for men. Because I'd written a book about it, sold over 5,000 copies of that book. It's called From Friend to Fiance, how to get him to want you without letting him know that you want him to want you. I will say that again. It does seem like a bit of a tongue twister, how to get him to want you without letting him know you want him to want you. And I'd sold over 5,000 copies of that book, really amazing book. And I put it out there. I got this bright idea that I wanted to teach women, practically from the book. And I would go on Instagram and I'd talk a lot about, thank you, Roberta. I'd go on Instagram and I'd talk a lot about this concept that I called Love University. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit divergent in my approach. So while some people are passionate, for example, and you got to know who your message is for. So, while some people are content to, not necessarily content, while some people are sent to speak to the Jews, some of us are sent to speak to the Gentiles, while some are sent to gather the 99, some of us are sent to the one. You know what I mean? And my messaging many times is always for the one. So while, for example, when it comes to relationship, a lot of people are talking about abstinence and chastity and purity and all those things, and that's great. But I'm like, look, I know this is great. No sex before marriage. I get it. I agree. I got it. However, most of you all are having sex. So if you're having sex, this message is for you. You know what I'm saying? If you're having sex, you guys had sex and he didn't call you back. How are you going to get the nigga to call you back? This is why I'm here. You know what I mean? And I found out that it was a message. I can see Kemi like, oh my goodness. I found out that it was a message that appealed to a lot of people, because for them, they were like, okay, yes, you're talking about me. And I put it out there, and at the height of my powers, I would have maybe 700 people watching on Instagram. This is like maybe 3-4 years ago. And I was teaching stuff about flirting, how to flirt, how to do this. And, a lot of things that perhaps that people like, oh my goodness, is this guy born again? Are you sure he's Philadelphia to his son? Because this boy has a bit of antichrist tendencies, you know what I mean? So, and again, that's how you brand yourself authentically, depending on who you are. And so I started putting that content out there. Yes, Joyce, a lot of mischief, maybe not a little, but I started putting content out there, and I noticed a lot of people were resonating with it. And I was talking about, relationships and sex and all those wonderful things. And then I got this bright idea, you know what, hey, check it out. Maybe what if I created a community? What if I created a newsletter, or, get them to subscribe, so that I can, because everybody on Instagram who's watching me live, I don't have their data. I can't mine their data unless I promote ads. But even then, I don't have their names. I don't have their phone numbers. So how do I get that content? So I needed, of course, to be able to create an opt-in page, a sales page where I can get their name, phone number, email address, bring them into a community, offer them something for free. You guys know the rest. Long story short, I had over 800 plus women in this community that was on Facebook. I was constantly sending them emails every week. My open rates were about 90-something%. My click-through rates were over 80-something%. So it was really high, really engaging. And every week, I would send them newsletter contents and newsletters. We had a Facebook community, and we were talking, and, Uncle Steve, what do you think about this? Uncle Steve, all over the place. I was connecting and engaging, vibrant community. And so one day I got this harebrained idea that, hold on a second. I've got a community, I've got a captive audience, literally, of over 800 women. What if I offered something for sale? What if I offered something for sale? And I thought about it. I was like, okay, what can I put out? You know what, heck it. So I put out like a podcast, like a little audio that had most of the recurring questions they asked me concerning relationships. And I compiled it into an audio, did it really snazzy, did it really well. And I offered it out there for $5K. Like $5K. I got 850 odd women in this group, and it's only $5K. And they love me. They're eating out of my hand. I'm Uncle Steve, for crying out loud. And I put it out there in the comment section. And I want to ask you guys, can anyone guess how many women bought that audio from me? Drop a comment. How many people do you think purchased my very fantastic audio? And don't forget, I'm Steve Harris, so I'm a big deal, right? Ifoma says 5. Okie dokie. Amaka says, you people are seeing me finish. Some people are just saying 5. I see finish now. Well, 1, come on, okay. They look at me real well. Maya says 800. Now we're talking. Roberta says 0. Seriously? All right, 10, none, voila, interesting. All right, so I hate to break it to you, so I don't go too much. Nobody, no one, not one person, like diddly squad, nada, zilch, nobody, not one single person paid for that audio. And, because initially when I posted it, I dropped the comments. I said, hey, ladies, check out my new podcast. Look, you should really get this. It'll really help you. It'll be a blessing. It's only 5,000 naira. You sit back and you're waiting for the alerts to start vibrating your phone until your phone begins to hang. That's the kind. So I sat back, I leaned back, and I was waiting for all my phone to be beeping. And it was like silence, like nothing. So I kind of figured, okay, maybe they didn't see it. So let me post it again. So I posted it again. Oh, by the way, ladies, just in case, I know there's a lot of conversation here, so maybe you guys didn't see it. So check it out. Check out this thing, blah, blah. My battery was full. My account was empty. I put it out there, and guess what? Not one person paid. So I was really hurt, and I was really, really upset. And maybe like I went off the group for like a day or two. I was really venting. Maybe like 2 days later, the ladies were, Uncle Steve, where are you? Uncle Steve. In my mind, I was like, who's your uncle? God will punish all of you. Are you people mad? Who's your uncle? You know what I mean? Right. And after a while, I was so frustrated. I eventually like ignored the group and just shut it down. I didn't shut it. I just disappeared because I was so hurt. I was hurt. And I realized later, eventually after my, I was able to get myself back. I asked myself, okay, why didn't I make a sale? And I realized that I didn't make a sale for two reasons. Number one, I had trained my audience to buy. I trained my audience not to buy. And that's something that many of us make as mistakes as thought leaders. We train our audience not to buy. So we disguise that with giving constant value. But sometimes I find that you use the excuse of constant value because you're afraid of feedback. You're afraid that if you put it out there, it's going to be crickets. You're afraid if you put it out there, nobody's going to buy. So we stay under the disguise of, I want to do for free, I want to be a blessing, and all those things are great. But if you're not careful, you will train your audience not to buy. So that was the first thing I recognized. The second thing, and I'm going to the whole global thing, so please bear with me, right? And then the second thing I recognized was I was not speaking to what I would call, and I mean no disrespect to the gender, I was not speaking to a desperate audience. I wasn't speaking to a hungry and desperate audience. When people are full and satiated, they have choices. So when you go to a buffet, so would you like this? Would you like that? I said, no, I don't want, no, I'm okay. I want this. No, I don't want this. You have choices. When people have choices, they can do you anyhow, right? You need to speak to a market who are desperate, because if you bumped into somebody in the desert, if the guy's been there for about a week without water, he's not going to discriminate about the way the water arrives. He's not going to say, oh, I like, Ciroc. He's not going to say, I like some sparkling water, put some ice in it, put some lemon and, a cucumber with a little pink parasol. He's not going to say any of that. But even if the water is dirty, he's going to drink it. Why? Because he is desperate. So a lot of us with our marketing and our messaging are not communicating to a desperate market, which is why we cannot answer the question, what is the value you bring to the table? What do people lose if they don't hire you? And one of the things that Evie had taught me a long time ago was people don't pay for your speeches, they pay for the results your speeches generate. I'm sure he said this before. I'll reiterate it. People don't pay for your speeches, they pay for the results that your speeches generate. So if you're not generating results in some capacity, people are not going to buy. So I recognized that the ladies that I was speaking to at the time, I realized when I did some research that they were not desperate. How do I know they weren't desperate? Their average age was 23, 24, 25. And at that stage, for most women, and I mean no disrespect, for most women, that's the stage of Nadem de Rochas. You know what I mean? So they have multiple options. So it's not a matter of, Lord, give me a man. The question is now, Lord, which man? That's their question. It's, Lord, which man? But when you get into a certain age, right, it now goes from Lord, it's no longer Lord, which man? It's now Lord, give me a man. And they're not going to discriminate. And so I relaunched this idea a couple of years later, and I started it this year called Ifemi, right? Which, as you probably know, means my love, to love and da-da-da-da-da. And I was afraid, I'm not even going to lie. I was afraid that, heck it, what if I get another Uncle Steve moment in crickets? You know what I'm saying? What if nobody shows up? I am marred and scarred. I'm carrying bruises from this last altercation. So these ladies, I don't know what they want, but I want to help them, but I need to get paid helping them. Can I get a witness from someone? You know what I mean? So I put it out there, Ifemi, and I was scared to death, like, Lord Jesus, the first time I did this, I had 800 people and none of them paid, right? And I want to make sure people pay. Even if it's not a lot of money, I want to make sure they can pay. And I spoke to the demographic that was a little bit older, late 30s towards their 40s. And long story short, I had 85 amazing women pay. And even though it was not plenty money. I mean, everybody's different. I think how much did I charge for it? I think it was like maybe 25K for 3 months, because I just wanted like a trial period. I wanted to be able to beta test my theory. And it was like 25K. Now, some of you right there are doing 25K times 85. I'm like, Steve, you don't bloom now. You know what I'm saying? Which is great. But you know what I'm saying? My point was people were able to pay. Why? Because they were desperate for, so to speak, the value that I was adding. Now, bringing that to reaching a global audience, you cannot have those alliances until your value proposition is clear. You can't. You know, the Bible says, can two walk together unless they agree? You know, are they in agreement? You know, and many times your alliances are complementary. Many times your alliances are people who are strong where you are weak, and where they are weak where you are strong. So it's a convergence, it's a collaboration, it's a synergy. You know what I mean? In some other cases, it might be two strong people who want to reach new markets, right? I shared during my session with FD on Instagram a couple of days ago how, you know, you must be intentional about going international. You got to be intentional about going international, right? And as scary as heck as that might be, because again, sometimes we are comfortable being big fish in small ponds, as opposed to being small fish in big ponds or big rivers. You know what I mean? Because again, for many of us, if you are a 10 in your field, or you're the big guy on the totem pole, and you're a 10 in your field, and everyone around you is like a 7, they're going to naturally gravitate towards you. So you're going to be, you know, HNIC, the head Negro in charge, as the case may be. Everybody's going to listen to you. But then it takes a lot of humility to go to a new level where you are the lowest on that dimension, where you are an 11 and everybody around you is a 20. You know what I mean? So now, even though you're the big deal where you're coming from, you're nothing where you are. You know what I mean? And I think that's a great deal of humility. It takes a great deal of humility, which is why I celebrate all of you who have come for Speak for Gold with FD. And it's not necessarily just because FD is the alpha in this industry. Love it, or everybody can argue with the their keypad or hug a transformer. FD is the icon in this industry. Everybody else is, you know, they're all great. So FD is the one that defines this industry, you know. And sometimes true humility is being able to come and see other people who you think, because again, whether you know, I don't know if this happens to you, there's a subconscious bias where you may look at the names of the people in this chat room. There are about, I don't know, 90 odd people in this chat room, and subconsciously you're measuring yourself against them. I don't know if it is the truth. So for example, I may look at Timmy and and I know Timmy. Okay, let's just say I'm not Steve Harris. I may know Timmy. Okay, I know Timmy. Okay, maybe how do I rank compared to Timmy? Okay, maybe I'm better than her in this, or she's better than me in this. So subconsciously, you're looking for your mates, and you're looking for people who you're better than, or who are better than you. And then you see all of us in this same room, all of us who either are better or we think we are, but all of us have agreed that we all need to learn something. You know, and it takes true humility to come into that new level and then say to yourself, okay, you know what? I need to learn. So you must be intentional about going international. And by virtue of my experiences, by virtue of networks and things that I've done, I'm in a lot of communities. And you got to ask yourself questions, because sometimes you just don't know. You don't know. And I know a lot of people think of me as cocky and arrogant and all those wonderful things, all of which are true, by the way. But I found that in those communities, I was always the fly on the wall. Now, I'm naturally very assertive and I go after what I want, but I didn't know that maybe mentally I had this limiting belief that, I don't know, maybe because they are white. And it's not because I've not lived with white people or studied with white people. I just kind of felt like, I don't know if you guys have ever had this. I was speaking for myself. My own this is where the shoe's pinching me. I struggle sometimes with the thing that says, wait a second. So dude, what are you going to tell them that they don't already know? The Tony Robbins you listen to, he's in their country. Do you understand? He's in their country. The Brian Tracy and all those other guys, is their country. Do you understand? It's their person. Do you understand? They watch their infomercials. They watch them and they go for their conferences. What are you going to say? The Tony Bryan, Les Brown, Gary Vee, all these Russell Brunson, what are you going to say that these guys ain't said already? So in my mind, that made me hide my light, because I'm saying, okay, so what am I going to say? I'm just some kid from Africa, in Nigeria in particular, which probably does not have a good reputation, or we're working on that. And I would sit as a fly on the wall and just watch these people and rarely ever comment. Most I'll do is like, but I'll never say anything. But I knew I was good. But again, sometimes subconsciously you're afraid to go to the next level because you're afraid that you're an imposter. So it's like a boxer who is on his way to the heavyweight championship, but he's graded on his weight class. So on your weight class, maybe like your 170-pound weight class, you can go toe to toe with the heavyweight tour in the 200, 300-pound weight class. But you're afraid that, okay, you know what, this 170 weight class, the next one is 200. If I go to 200, what is the guarantee that I can take them on? What is the guarantee? Because maybe when I take them on, I'll now even find out that 170 weight class, I'm not really there. I'm even in 120. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when I measure myself globally and internationally, maybe here I'm a big deal, and people are saying Steve Harris. Maybe they're all famsing about Steve Harris because they're just friggin' ignorant. For example, maybe they just don't know, and maybe I'm just getting high on everybody's supply. And when I get into the global stage, I now realize that, nigga, you are a fraud. You don't know what you're talking about. So maybe that was holding me back. And so one day I was like, man, okay, you know what? I need to deal with this thing. I think it'll be really cool. And this is getting into the international alliances thing. I said, I have a podcast, The Ugly Truth About Business. If you've never listened to it, you really should. It really is really awesome. Check it out on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts too. All right. If you don't have a podcast, please, I take on beg you, please have one. Please have one. Those are the tools that help you go international. Those are the tools. And it doesn't matter whether you update it once in 3 months. The point is have one and show up. You know what I'm saying? And so I have this podcast, The Ugly Truth About Business. And I figured, Nigerians like Serere, Nigerians like physics, Nigerians like the latest, the shiny objects. And I figured, okay, and this is how I think, please forgive me, it may sound incredibly selfish or narcissistic, but I'm trying to keep it 100. I'm not pretending. You guys are my brothers and sisters. Evie is my father. So, I'm not even going to pretend. So I can be very mischievous sometimes. So one day I was sitting down and I said to myself, how will I show other people in this industry that I'm not their mate? It's a real question. It's a real question. It may not be as, it may not be as philanthropic. It may not be as, yes, Timmy, absolutely. It may not be as philanthropic. It may not be as impactful. It may sound incredibly selfish, but I'm sorry, that's who I am. And I'm not a selfish person, but that's how I was thinking. How do I show these people in Nigeria that I'm not their mates? Because I've been doing this thing for a long time, right? And so one day I just figured, we like white people. You do something with a white person, all of a sudden people just pay attention. You know what I mean? You have a proposal that has a white person, they'll get you through the door. I mean, I found it in my life that because I talk funny, when I go into meetings, people listen to me. I may be yawning dust, but because I talk funny, they listen to me. It gets attention. So I said, how do I show people that I'm not their mate? You know what? It'll be really cool to, yes, Benedicta, it'll be really cool to get a couple of white guys on my podcast, but now I'm scared to death. How the heck am I going to go about it? And I decided, okay, you know what, heck it, I'm going to post it on the Facebook community and just ask. So I put it out there after like 3 days of dilly-dallying, and I didn't know I had that limiting belief. And again, you've got to do the same. You've got to take your heart through that process, or else you will sabotage your opportunities from going international. And besides, you can be living in an international country or a global country, as the case may be, and still be playing local. You know what I mean? You might be living in the UK and you find out that you're marketing only to Nigerians. Why? Because Nigerians know you, they trust you, have history, but you can't speak on white stages. Do you get what I mean? Right? So again, that's a limiting belief. The fact that you're living in London or America or wherever doesn't necessarily mean you have that global purview. You may be living in the global environment, but you have a global environment. Do you get what I'm saying? No, we're speaking, so we get the rev. You may be living in the global environment, but you have a local environment, and it's your environment that determines your environment, as the case may be. Thank you, Dela. Absolutely. I love your honesty, Dela. You know what I'm saying? So you may find out that you're just speaking to the same old audience, the Nigerians, whatever, but fear doesn't let you reach out to the Americans, even though you're living in America, So eventually I put it out there and say, hey, I think I even have what did I even say? I think I have the script on my phone. Let me see if I can read it to you. Really, really short. It says, yes, I got it. It's here. Okay, no, this wasn't it. This is the follow-up. Anyway, whatever it was, I sent the message and said, hey, I'd love you to be on my podcast. Would anyone like to be a part of it? And then I closed the Facebook group because I was afraid that, like, again, crickets. Maybe like a day too later, I go back and I see like 20, 30 comments. Everyone's like, oh, hey, Steve, I'd love to. Hey, Steve, I'd love to. I'd love to. And then it dawned on me that day that even white people are looking for stages. Even white people are looking for audiences. As long as there's blood flowing through their veins, they want attention. They want their voice to be heard. It doesn't mean that white doesn't mean it's right and black doesn't mean it's wrong. You know what I mean? They also want validation. And I found out, this is the thing that tripped me, because once they accepted, I would send them I'll say, please, if you're interested, please send me a DM on my Instagram and da. And once they accepted, I realized something very quickly. They were more blown away by me than I was by them. It's like that thing in the Bible that, the Israelites said the giants, were small in their eyes. But meanwhile, in reality, they were looking at me like a big frigging deal. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh my goodness, Steve, you've got then I had 50,000 followers. Maybe I was verified, or just maybe like, yeah, I was 50,000 followers. Oh, Steve, you've got 100,000 followers. Oh my God, you must be a big deal. You know what I mean? I was like, really? Yeah, of course I am. Absolutely. You're right. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And these people probably had 2,000, 3,000 followers. They were looking for audiences. So I realized that just because I had the numbers, for example, that again was value. You know what I mean? That was value. That was something that they couldn't compete with, because Steve Harris is verified. If you're verified, you must be someone. And don't get it twisted, guys. Anybody can be verified. Just have a bunch of articles written about you. Just have proof. Submit your government ID. You can be verified too. You know what I'm saying? And again, let me quickly say this about being international. Being international does not come by chance. You must be deliberate. I find, so for example, no disrespect, a lot of us, if we had to Google our names, most in generally would be our Facebook or social media profiles that would pop out, right? So why don't you have any press written about you, right? What stops you from inviting a reporter to have a conversation with you, and he puts it on Business Day, or whatchamacallit, or the Nation newspaper, or some random newspaper that has online presence? Do you get what I'm saying? It doesn't cost you anything. It barely costs you 20 grand. You know what I'm saying? Barely cost you 20 grand or something like that. And before you know it, if you commit that every 2 months, you will have you would have something put in the press, a press release about you. Guess what? People search about you. They do research on you. So it's important that you frame the narrative of what people would say about you. It's very, very important, right? So you must think about, having interviews with reporters. And guess what? The beautiful thing about all these interviews, I'm sure somebody must have dealt with this before, is that it's not like the press will just think about one random thing. No, you can write the questions. You do the work for them. You do the work for them. You get what I'm saying? You write the question by yourself. Tell them what this is what, see, public relations is about personnel, is reputation capital. It's what you want the markets to hear. So they won't just write any nonsense question. Even if they write a nonsense question, you can say to them, can I edit this question? Because it's about how I'm going to be perceived, not about what you want to write. Because even you that wrote it, you're not going to read it. You're just going to get your own money. Me, how I will be perceived is important. So you can write it yourself and put it out there, right? So when people hear stuff about you, Steve Harris is widely regarded as Africa's leading, he was Africa, has anybody given me trophy as Africa's leading? Nobody has given me. Have they done evidence that I'm Africa's leading? I don't understand. It is what I want people to perceive me as. Do you get what I'm saying? And I can argue about being one of Africa's leading, because again, number one, there are not many Africans who do what we do. Do you get what I'm saying? So first off, there are not that many. And even if there are quite a number, how many of them are there? When you mention Africa's leading, you mention FD. You will mention Larry Olusola, then let's leave Nigeria. You now mention people like Vusi in South Africa. You will now mention people like maybe Kwame in Ghana. There are not many. So we can count them 10. We can't even count 10. FD, Larry Olusola, Nia Adesola, Kunle Shorio, Bankole Williams, Jimmy Tewe, Steve Harris. So 7 of us are Nigerian. I'm not adding your name. I know your name is there. Then let's bring Vusi, then Kwame. That's 9. Who else is there in Africa? I don't know. Temi Ashabi. There we go. 10, the end. So among top 10, I'm there. There's nothing that stops you, for example, there's nothing that stops you from doing an article that profiles Africa's top leading business coaches, and your name is there. Hello. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's nothing that stops you from doing that. It's true. You can put an article and it's just there, and you promote it. When they search your name, just say Africa's leading business. It is there, right? So you've got to be intentional about going international, and you've got to recognize that building alliances is about shared value. I shared how I got an invitation from somebody who's become a good friend of mine who's Canadian. He's a white guy. So let's put it in perspective. He's a white guy. And, we had a conversation, and he was like, you know what, Steve, I think you and I should go on my podcast together. And apparently he has Canada's #1 entrepreneurship podcast. And so he and I decided to, go back and forth and chop it up. It was supposed to be like a 20-minute conversation. It ended up being like an hour and a half because it was really, really good. And we just connected from the instance. And when we were done, he was like, Steve, my podcast generally average about 15,000 downloads. I'm hoping that maybe yours, I know a lot of people perhaps may not know you, but I'm hoping that maybe yours will, by the time you bring your community to, listen to the podcast, we might hit 20,000. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm sure, we'll do what we can. And that's 20,000 downloads in a month, or 15,000 downloads in a month. So we posted, we shared it. I also shared it on my page, and I said, hey, hey guys, check it out. Check out the podcast. I was featured, Guys, he sent me a DM like 4 days later, and he was like, Steve, we got 38,000 downloads in 4 days. That was a record for him. Why? Because I was able to leverage the power of my community based on the value I'd been giving to people over time. So you've got to be deliberate, recognizing that you have something to bring to the table. Doesn't matter whether you're in Ibadan or whether you're in wherever you might be, you've got value to bring to the table. And Ebby is absolutely right where he says that, there are people who will make way for you. They will, I have a friend, she's American, and she says to me, she's Christian, and she says, Steve, I don't know what it is about you, but I am committed. She says, I feel like God wants me to expose you to America, and I'm committed to making that happen. I'm like, girl, you can take me wherever you want to go. I'm going with you. You know what I mean? So, and you've got to be, and you also have to show up for people, because again, I find that many of us are very particular about what we can get from people as opposed to what you can give to people. You know what I mean? So it takes something, you got to just dare some things just because you want to, you know what I mean? You don't know. I remember one day I had this weird idea. I said, for my MBT, you know what, it'll be really cool. It would be really cool to get Gary Vee to speak at MBT. It will be cool. And not just cool, it'll be bragging frigging rights. Do you understand? It's another, I am not your, putting another nail in the, I am not your mate's coffee. Do you understand what I'm saying? And call it what you want, whatever it is that drives you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not narcissistic or any of those things, but I'm just like, what can we do? So I figured, it'll be really cool. But again, my heart's, God, what's if? I said, heck it. We sent an email to Gary Vee's office, and they were very excited, and they responded. And they told me, oh, Gary would absolutely love to be at what your thing, yada, yada, yada. These are his rates. By the time they showed me his rates, I was like, okay, now I understand. At least now I have information. $250,000 for 30 minutes. Okay, I got it. Yeah, sure. Then I went back. I was like, oh, fantastic, great. All right, so let's get our schedules together. When we get our schedule, we'll get back to you. And I did not get back to them. But you know what? Now I know that ceiling has been broken. And $250,000 is not a lot of money if you're earning in dollars. You don't hear me what I'm saying. It's because we're earning in Naira. So we do 250,000 times 500 Naira. How much is that? What's that? How many millions? I can use it to buy 5 houses in Lagos. I beg to do speaking engagements. Am I mad? How much am I going to get back? You know what I mean? Which is why you need to be global. Which is why in order to even have international alliances, right, you also need to be able to have products. What international products do you have, right? If you had to speak at, you know, if you had to speak with some of these guys, you know, let's say Gary Vee invited you, or Russell Brunson, or any of these guys invited you to speak, and they asked you, do you have a product? Do you have a PayPal account? Maybe for many of you, the answer is no, right? Do you have any account that can take dollars? And I don't mean your GTB or your Nigerian domiciliary account. That does not count. You know what I'm saying? Do you have Stripe? If the answer is no, you are not ready, fam. You are not ready, because guess what? You know, even me, Seth, I figured one day, I was like, come, Seth, you know, even I think I'm thinking too small. I'm thinking too small, right? Because I said to myself, and you will know you're thinking small, because I've been there, done that. So me, this is deliverance. So me, I've been delivered, and I'm just sharing with you my deliverance story. But you know, it dawned on me one day. I was like, you know what? I'm promoting, you know, I can put a post that is really amazing, but why am I targeting Nigerians? If I want to be global, if I want to be deliberate about, if I want to be intentional about going international, then I must market to the American audience. Do you get what I'm saying? I must market it. So I want my posts, if I'm promoting them, yes, it's great that I have the Nigerian market, but no disrespect to the Nigerian market, most of them can't pay. You know what I'm saying? There's a gestation cycle for the people who can pay. You have to take them through a journey before they can afford you. You know what I'm saying? But the Americans or those in Europe, they are not caught up by that. If they like it, and you know, it's quite interesting when it comes to marketing. Nigerians, when it comes to, for example, if you put something on a site, like a sales page, I'm sure all of you know what that is, so it's not like I'm going to break that down. But if you have a sales page, for example, which, you know, buttresses what you do, Nigerians want the less information, the better, because they say Nigerians don't like to read. So the moment they swipe with their thumb like 6 times is too much. So if especially because most people are, you know, most websites are mobile enabled. By the time they swipe, and 6, 7 is the magic number before they get tired, they swipe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it goes beyond 6, they won't read it. But Americans, the more the merrier. They are reading. So it's a switch. Do you get what I'm saying? So so for my campaigns, for example, when I'm marketing my programs and my coaching and my courses, I have 2 email lists. I have 2 demographics. I have 2 demographics. Exactly. Tammy says they won't even check that. They will even check terms. Yes, they will check terms and conditions. They will check it. They will check your disclaimers. Go and look at my website. You'll see disclaimer from morning till night. Oh, our courses and our programs are not a get rich scheme. And yeah, I have legal. I just copied somebody's website, put it there, and I just said disclaimer. Do you get what I mean? I also recognize that. So, for example, I realized I had to even repurpose my content because it wasn't global enough. Right. So I recognize that, you know, so for example, my Mastering the Business of Talent previously, maybe like 3 years ago, it was a lot of screencast, it was slides. And if you do slide presentation, people love it too. So direct to camera, if you don't have a camera, don't worry about it. You can do slides and just voice it over if you have a really good voice like I do. If you don't have, hire somebody like I am, or, you know, whatever. You're a speaker, you can be better. You're a speaker, you can speak over it. Right. And you can do screen shares and all those wonderful things. But then I recognized that in my conversations, my examples were Nigerian. So I was using Naira. And I was like, no, if I want to explain this to the global market, I can't use Naira. I have to speak with global currency. Right. So I had to recreate the content all over again. This time I decided, you know what, go big, go home. We're shooting direct to camera. And all my examples were global examples. So I would say things like, so for example, you know, where I'm originally from, because again, Steve Harris, nobody can tell where you're really from. You know what I mean? So where I'm originally from, you know, we spend about this amount of money in dollars, and that would equate to about this amount of money in Naira. So our currency is Naira, but that equates to about maybe like $200,000 or something like that. And that I'll talk. So my point was I had to recreate my content to be acceptable by a global market. The point was many of us, our references are too local. You know what I mean? Our references are too local. You know what I mean? So because exposure is important, guys. Exposure is incredibly important. You know what I mean? So you can't have a conversation with, there's certain kind of people that certain things are basic. You know, they're talking about Starbucks and talking about lattes and cappuccinos and mochachinos. You don't even know what the hell that is. you're already to some degree at a disadvantage when you're talking to people who are thinking about certain things. You know what I mean? And don't forget who your competitors are, right? So you must recreate your content, your messaging. Exactly. You're talking about Zobo. Somebody's talking about lattes. You're like, Zobo, what? What's a Zobo? You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say that you lose your authenticity as a Nigerian or an African. No, it's that you qualify it right beside what theirs is. You know what I mean? But you've got to be able to have global standards. You know, FD told me once, he said, stars have no geographical boundaries. Stars have no geographical boundaries. You know what I mean? A star in Lagos is a star in London. You know what I mean? So you must recognize that, are you positioning yourself, Naomi? Are you positioning yourself? I know Naomi's already, she's a sparkle queen, so she's the goddess, she knows it, right? Are you positioning yourself for international exposure? Right? The new one that people are doing, if you don't know, that we school you to the game. It's not like Temi knows, Temi is school to the game, Naomi knows she's school to the game, right? So for example, you would see a random, let's say a thought leader, I'm not going to mention anyone's names because they are doing it, I'm going to do it, so it's not as if anything, right? You would see a thought leader, you know, oh, what a wonderful surprise to be featured in Fox News and da. Oh my God, you know, international Yahoo Finance, and see all those things, they pay for it. It's not like Yahoo Finance reached out to anybody. Hello, there are ads on Facebook, sponsored post, it's $500. Let me help you understand something. You want to be featured in Yahoo Finance tomorrow, it's about 500 quid or less even, Seth. Do you understand what I mean? You want to be featured on Fox News, and it's not even Fox News, oh, it's Fox News Asia or Fox News Malaysia. But who cares? It's Fox freaking News. Do you get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? There's even $97. Do you get what my point really is? Anything that amplifies your brand. And the beautiful thing about this, the moment you now do the Fox News or the Yahoo Finance, your marketing, your perception has gone another step higher. You put a nail in the coffin of the person's "I am not your mate." Do you understand what I'm saying? It's another nail in the "I am not your mate" coffin. Perception management is important. Exactly. Naomi says, I got on the Times Square billboard yesterday, same strategy. Exactly. Times Square, nobody may know who she is. Don't matter. Don't matter. It's the bragging rights. And Naomi's been featured on Bloomberg, on this, even that Forbes Africa one. Do you understand? Hello. So when I put it out there, Steve Harris has been featured on Forbes Africa. Thankfully, fortunately for me, they were the ones who reached out to me, like Slate's Economist, Forbes Africa. They're the ones who reached out to me. However, there's nothing that says you can't reach out to them because money moves the needle. Do you get what I'm saying? So all of these things help your perception management. You know what I mean? So it's about shared exchange. It's about value, right? What else can I say about alliances? And I don't know, Simi, if there's an opportunity for questions, because I don't want to ramble without having to answer questions. So please bear with me. So please let me know. TEDx, the same thing. You know what I mean? Whether you've spoken in TEDx Zamfara or TEDx Houston, is TEDx, same global brand. So you can reach out to all those people, get that visibility. Thank you. Okay, yes, Simi. Get that visibility, put stuff out there. You must be intentional about going international. Like my brother Jimmy Tiwe. Jimmy's in America right now. Jimmy has a 22-city tour over the next 3 years. Hello. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it? See, and sometimes these things may not be as complicated. It's not complicated. If like Jimmy is doing Houston right now, yes, he's been marketing to the Nigerian market and the international audience, and he's getting numbers of people traction, things are happening, but it also starts by where 2 or 3 are gathered, we have had an event. Hello. If all of you are in Houston, I say, come, hey, people, I'm coming to Houston. Let's organize events. Share, all of us will gather in one room. I will give you people snacks. I'll give you people lunch. Has events not held? It has held. After the event has held, do a little press release. Steve Harris has thingamajiggy in the Houston area, that in the Bay Area, yada, yada, yada. You put it out as perception management. Do you get what I mean? You've got to be intentional about going international, and collaborations are key. If you can't get the top dog, get the next dog. If that dog ain't available, get the next dog. If that dog ain't available, get the next dog. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Sometimes don't worry yourself about going after the top. Go after the next dogs. Do you get what I'm saying? So for example, I'm not trying to brag, so please allow me. So please, I know it may sound vain or arrogant or whatever. FD is the top dog. you cannot, you see, the odds that you will get FD to do something with you is very, very slim. Not because he can't, but he just doesn't have the time. Don't disturb FD too much. Come after the next dogs. Jimmy, Banky, me. We are the next dogs. And if we are not available, no disrespect. We're not bragging. Come after the next dogs. Do you get what I'm saying? After, just be going. Next dogs, next dogs, next dogs. When you've gotten the next dog, so no disrespect, for example, let me qualify. And she's my sweetheart, so no disrespect. So let's say I'll use Timmy. So let's say in areas of cadence, Fela is the first dog. Me, I'm the next dog. Timmy is the next dog. But guess what? You can't get me and Fela. Go and get Timmy. When you've gotten Timmy and you tell me you've gotten Timmy, I will come. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, you've gotten the next dog, then I'm the next dog. There's some, listen, it's not an arrogant statement. There's some people who, when people invite me to podcasts, sometimes they invite me to their events and I ask them who has spoken at this event. And they'll say, oh, you know, XYZ, or maybe nobody has spoken. I'm like, nah. Invite me on your 10th edition. After the next dogs have come, then I will come. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't be, see, me and the next dogs cannot be on this. Do you understand what I'm saying? It may sound arrogant, it may sound whatever. This is value. And you've got to recognize for all of us, yes, Timmy, yes, call me on your 10th episode. When you people have done it, after you have practiced, you have used, you can't use me to blow now, no disrespect. Go and use other people to blow. You don't bring your best guns at the first, Timmy's running around her room. Don't bring the first best dogs at the first, no, now. No, you know, bring after you use the other people to do, no disrespect, allow me, it's a little graphic. Use other people to do foreplay. If you want the climax, bring me. Do you understand? That's what it is. I'm sure everybody got the reference. I can assure you that right now, everybody's like, oh my God, this son of mine. Right? Do you get what I'm saying? That's exactly what you need to do. That's a marketing strategy. And the reason many of us are not as vast as we want is we don't have a customer attraction strategy. We have a customer chasing strategy. So we're the ones chasing people up and down, up and down, up and down. So I get invitations of, sir, I'd like to come live with you on Instagram. Why now? Because they saw me and Banky go toe-to-toe the other day, or they saw me and Jimmy go toe-to-toe, and they're like, if I bring Steve Harris, my numbers will rise. Hello, what's in it for me? That is the honest to God, ugly truth about it. What is in it for me? You want to bring someone who's international, what's in it for them? So for example, I want to bring somebody who's hey Bev, hey Bellissima, right? You want to bring somebody who's international to so someone like me, I can say, listen, do you have anyone in the African market? The African audience, we buy Tony Robbins stuff, we buy Brendan Burchard, we buy Marie Forleo, we buy all these people. So guess what? You ain't nothing unless you reached out to the African market, and I can make you a big friggin' deal in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well expose yourself to our audience. And guess what? I've got 130,000 people who listen to everything I say. So you might as well do yourself a favor and be a part of this. And that is my proposition. They do their research, they look at the comment section, and people are saying, oh, Steve, we love you, particularly with my last post. Oh, Steve, we love you. I'm fainting. It's there. They're like, this guy has weight. This guy matters. Do you get what I'm saying? You got to be intentional. You got to do the same, right? So leverage something. And don't forget that next dogs thing. It's important. Forget about Gary Vee. Forget about Russell Brunson. Forget about Fela Durant. I don't mean that disparagingly. I'm just saying, look for the next dogs. What you need to do is build consistency so that when you want to get everybody's attention, you can say, oh, I brought Tammy, I brought Steve, I brought Naomi, I brought Kemi, I brought this and I brought this. And everybody's like, okay, if these people that I regard and respect have come on your platform, that means your platform is worth coming onto. But you can't bring FD as guest number one for what now? What's that? You obviously want to use him to blow. Where else are you going to? You've brought the best guy. Where are you going from there? It's not when you brought number one, you are going to number two from down now. It's not true. Start from number 10 and work your way up, right? So you've got to be, for blessing, you've got to think about it. You must have these tools, podcasts. See, I hate to say white people, and don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to be racist or any of those things. Even white people are looking for platforms too. They want to sell their market. They want to be heard. And no disrespect, because we are perhaps to some degree of a different emotional consistency than they are. So for example, like, a white person can see a puppy and say, puppies. Oh my God, that's so adorable. Oh my God, so beautiful. A black guy's like, what's that? Remove this dog. Yeah, whatever, you know? So what excites them? We're like, really? Really? So my point is, it may not necessarily take too much to excite them, because don't forget there are 3 levels. There is survival, success, and significance. Do you get what I'm saying? So we in Nigeria, if you remove this dog, do you get what I'm saying? We here in Nigeria, we are more in the survival mentality. So it takes a lot to move people from survival to success. The resistance is high. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like starting a gen. You're just dragging this gen to make them start. That's how Nigerians are. You're dragging them. But Americans is one touch, gen. Just press the button, boom, it comes on. So it doesn't take too much, for example, to excite them. It doesn't take too much, for example, to get their attention, because they also want validation. So for you, you can invite them on your Instagram live, and then you will have maybe 30 people. And you'll be feeling bad. And they're like, oh my goodness, 30 people showed up. Oh my God, that was amazing. And you are like, 30 people, are these people mad? These Nigerians even show up. But for them, it's like, oh my goodness, 30. I mean, it's crazy. Do you get what I mean? I've had different people. I mean, just today, I even had like 2 meetings with 2 internationally based people who want to do business with me. They're like, oh, Steve, we've seen your brand. We want you to do this. Can you do this for us? Can you do this for us? Oh, your messaging appeals to so even though it appeals to the African audience, it also is relative to the American audience. Can we have a collaboration? Why? Because they've seen the numbers. Please don't buy followers. I must say that fake followers don't become real customers. Don't do that. Don't make no sense. And besides, there are apps and tools that people can tell if your followers are real. It's a waste. It's an exercise of futility. So don't bother. But my point is, as you add value to people in your environment, whether it's in Nigeria or wherever the case may be, it will ultimately, it's currency. Do you get what I'm saying? It's currency. Following is currency, right? Following is currency. And brands pay for that. And they don't necessarily, brands don't necessarily just pay for the number of followers you have. Brands pay for the connection, the emotion that you have over your followers. I'm going to say that again. Brands don't necessarily pay for the number of followers you have. They pay for the emotion your followers, you control or you have over your followers. How engaged are they? So it's about the engagement. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you put a post out, you may have 100,000 followers. You put a post out there, and then it flatlines. There's no engagement. So there's no ripple in the water. Right? But you put something out there, you can have 1,000 followers and everybody's engaged. That's what they want. So it's more about engagement versus followership, right? And you can leverage all of that. Do you get what I'm saying? You need to be able to find your authentic voice. You need to be able to communicate value. What is one more thing that I can say where it comes to global alliances? Ultimately, as FD always says, your clients want to do 4 things. They want to make money. They want to save money. They want to grow their market share. They want to grow their brand. So collaborating with you can help them do all of those things. So how can you help them make money? So can you do a JV, joint venture type thingamajiggy? See, it's when you associate with this, let me put it like this. See, I really do need us to get to the place where we target Nigerians not because we have to, but because we want to. And I say that from the perspective of it is way easier, and I don't mean easier just like that, but the same amount of efforts, maybe even less, that it will take to market to a Nigerian is perhaps the same amount of effort it will take to market to an American, for example. And with an American, MBT, for example, priced in Nigeria with the fluctuating dollar rate is about $600, which makes no sense to me. I'm losing frigging money, right? A course like MBT without the coaching and all the extra drama we do should be minimum $2,000, minimum. If I sold MB to Americans, I will be making way more money. It's not $2,000. So how many people do I need to make $1 million? It's not maybe 500 people. 500 people, I'll make $1 million. Yes, Eden, minimum $3,000, absolutely. You know what I mean? So let's even go with $3,000, right? How many people do I need to make $1 million? 300 friggin' people. How many Nigerians do I need to make $1 million? 300,000 people. So it's imbalanced. But as long as we're not positioned for the markets we want to collect money from, we will be dragging Nigerians like a gen, and they will not agree to start to. You remove their capacitor, change their oil, change the plug, they will still not agree. Check out what I'm saying? So my point is there's a heck of a lot of work that is involved. Oh, Eddie, welcome back, right? There's a heck of a lot of work that is required.
It's never gone.
I hope your heart is still empty. Don't worry, I'm still your son. You know what I mean? So, but that really is my point. That really is my point. But we're not positioned for the international market. We don't have account details. We don't have Stripe. We don't have PayPal. Flutterwave is good, and Paystack is great. That's great. It's cool. But please have a Bank of America account, right? Please have Wells Fargo. Please have any of these banks. Please, if you don't have, get your relative to open it for you. Do you get what I'm saying? Get somebody to do that, right? Have PayPal. PayPal is not operational in Nigeria. You have VPN. What the hell are you waiting for? Do you understand what I'm saying? Your VPN is not just for Twitter and watching Netflix movies. Open those accounts, my friend. Mask your location. Open the accounts. Do those things so that you can receive. I mean, every day, I'm not joking, every day, if I don't make money every day on my, because I have all these platforms, if I'm not making money, maybe worst case scenario, I'll probably make like maybe $20 a day. It's not a lot of money perhaps. So when you convert it to Naira, $20, that's like 10 grand. Is it, give or take, something like that? You know what I mean? It all stacks up, it all adds up, right? So if you're not positioned to go global, you are wasting your time. If you don't have tools, if you don't have email lists, and don't buy email lists, right? Look at all the the American thought leaders that get value, like whatchamacallit, like all these Gary Vee and anyone who has a newsletter type thing. Ask yourself, what platforms are they using? Offer, look at the PDFs. If they're offering content, maybe free PDFs, download the PDF. Do your own. Do you understand what I'm saying? Download it, do your own. You get it? Do your own. The world is waiting for us. The world is seeing. I'm not dissing, right? At least I've had conversations. I've been on events. I mean, I remember I was invited by, I shared this on FD's thingy, Kajabi, and it's an app platform, and they invited me to speak on one of their panels, and for me it was amazing. And they had asked me to send like I mean, it's even crazy. They'd asked me to, they even said to me, oh, we're creating a new campaign about this, that, and the other. And we want to profile some, we call them Kajabi heroes. Kajabi heroes are people who've made at least $1,000 from their courses. So we want to profile a few Kajabi heroes, and we want to profile you. And they weren't profiling me based on revenue, because again, most of my money comes in Naira, not through the Kajabi app. So Nigerians would rather say, please, I beg, what's your GTB account? They don't want to go through, pay the dollar payments. So it wasn't based on revenue, because if it was based on revenue, my money wasn't really reflecting in Kajabi as it was reflecting in my bank account. But they were like, we've seen your work, we've engaged with your and guess what? You know what I was doing? See, very simple. Kajabi, I saw the people that they, like I said, the previous year, the people they had. Do you know what I started doing? I started engaging with their content on Instagram. They will post something. You can be sure. Go and look at Kajabi's posts. Most of their stuff, I've dropped a comment. Oh, great job, guys. Hey, Steve, we're rooting for you. I'm like, rooting for you guys too. Conversation. See, you sometimes you can't go through the front door. You have to go through the window. Do you understand what I'm saying? And next thing, I got a DM from them to say, oh, we're profiling during this COVID thing. We're profiling a few Kajabi heroes. Can you send the voice notes? I was like, sure, of course I will. I sent a voice note. This is the truth though. I sent a voice note, and I kind of figured, and again, remember, this is the way I think. It may not be politically correct, but sometimes that's the way my mind works. I said, how can I prove to these Americans that I am not their mate? Hello, simple question. And you know how Americans generally are, they're all compassion. Oh, COVID-19, this whole COVID-19 drama, be inclusive, meditate, all that crap as far as I'm concerned. It's all valid, no doubt about it, but I'm like, meditate? What? I beg. So I recorded my voice note, and I said, stop throwing a frigging pity party. You're alive. As long as you're alive, you have life, you have this. Be ruthless about your goals. Get after it. Stop throwing a freaking pretty party. Nobody's going to attend. I sent it in. They're like, oh my God, Steve, it gave us chills. I'm like, chills, go easy. They're like, oh my God, Steve, it gave us chills. And they posted it. It resonates with a lot of people. People say, oh, tough love, but it's true. Oh, Steve, absolutely. I started getting follow. Next thing, they now sent me a DM and said, oh, we're organizing a program and we love to you to be a part of it. Oh yes, I remember the word I said, the phrase I used in that voice note. I said, get out of your own way. I think that said something like, get out of your own way. They said, Steve, we're organizing a conference. It's called Get Out of Your Own Way. We want you to speak. I'm like, I've blown. Ladies, I've blown. You know what I'm saying? I don't blow. I'm not you people's mates. You know what I mean? I still did that. So my point is this: engage. Look at those applications. Look at those people you follow. Download their newsletters. And CA, let me say this. I'll shut up after this. Then we can go into Q&A. Your thought leadership is not necessarily about your skills, and your skills are valuable. No doubt, we're not even knocking your skill. Everybody here is amazing at what you do. The problem is your proposition is not compelling. So for example, let me tell you what I do. So when I subscribe to someone, let's say I subscribe to, Tony Robbins or Gary Vee and any of these guys that offer something for free or whatever. And I joined their mailing list. Now, when I join their mailing list, I do not care what they're saying. I don't watch their videos. I'm not interested in any of those things. Do you know what I'm interested in? I read their emails and I dissect it. And I ask myself, what emotional triggers did they use to make me want to buy? What words in the captions did they say that made me feel like, I need to give you people my money, or I need to give you people my money? That's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking through the marketing. I'm asking myself, how many days did from me signing up, did they ask me for a sale? I write it down. How many days after signing up did they offer me, what was the upsell? And if I couldn't afford the upsell, what was the downsell? And I'm looking for it. I'm looking at the price point. How did they follow up with me to say, Steve, we noticed that you clicked on the link, but you didn't subscribe. You know what? Because you didn't, if you do this in 24 hours, we'll offer you this. Those are the things I'm reading. I'm not interested, reverse engineering exactly for me. I'm not interested in their offer. I may or may not buy, but for me, getting on their lists, even when I do get on their list, even when I do buy and I'm watching, all I'm interested in, I'm not interested in the technique. So I'm not interested in all their deep thoughts in this. I'm saying to myself, how do they upsell? How do they do that high ticket offer? How do I make mine a lot more better? Because guess what? Very soon, even I am going to be on those platforms. So I need to learn how to do it like an art. I need to be, I don't know if any of you watched Pastor Paul Adefarasin's being interviewed by Forbes Africa yesterday or the day before. I think it's on his page. I watched it and oh my God, oh my goodness. As in, see, it was like, hey, that man was made for global audiences. You get, as in, he finished them. They didn't forget the fact that they were white. They didn't have anything to say. They did not have anything to say. But let me show you something about intentionality. Remember, you may not be able to get their attention, but you want to position yourself. So let me tell you what I did. So I noticed that, and real practical issues. So I don't have a relationship with Pastor Paul. FD does, but mine is by proxy. But FD has a direct relationship with Pastor Paul. So this is how you get the attention of a big dog. For example, are you ready to listen? Real example. I've not gotten the results, but I'm telling you the process. When I get the answer, I will tell you that it has worked, right? So Pastor Paul posts his thingamajiggy on his page and says, oh, guys, blah, blah, just paraphrasing, guys, check it out, tell me your thoughts. What do you think? Can I tell you what I wrote? You will pay me for this thing. If you don't know how to speak English, you must learn how to speak English by force. Let me tell you what I wrote. So Pastor Paul posts his video and he says, this is what do you guys think? What are your thoughts from watching? Let me tell you what I wrote. I'm going to read it because I copied it down and I wrote it here. So I said, I watched it all. your vast understanding of the issues at hand, your reticence. Okay, FD is seeing it, exactly. Thank you, FD. So FD has it on screen. So
What is amazing?
Yeah, FD, we can't hear you, sir.
What is
Tell me, sir.
amazing is that the moment I go on it, what I see is Steve Harris.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
So so what happens is, this is on Pastor Paul's page, right? Which means, guess what? Everybody that goes on his page to watch it is seeing Steve Harris make this comment. And they would attach Steve Harris as a brand to Pastor Paul as a brand.
Yep.
It's called brand association. And it's just whatever they think about Pastor Paul. Sorry, please go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to show.
No, that was perfect. Yes, sir. Yes.
Go ahead, please.
All right. Now, in associating with that brand, remember that every brand has attributes. Now, so you have to dissect, for example, who you're trying to connect with. Every brand has attributes. And one of Pastor Paul's attributes is eloquence. He is a fantastic communicator. So you can't get someone like FD. You can't get his attention by just saying, "Yes, sir, it blessed me," or you do fire emoji, or you do thumbs up. You will not get his attention. Now you're one of those, comments in the comment section. You have to speak to FD in the language that he understands and he appreciates, right? So what did I write? Let me tell you. Are you ready for the English I spoke? It's there, or you can check it out later. So it says, "I watched it all. Your vast understanding of the issues at hand, your reticent acceptance of the honor, your clarion call of the certainty that one day honorable men will inevitably become men of honor, as epitomized by your nomination, your vast understanding of global issues and economic development. You went toe-to-toe with them as a heavyweight pugilist." Pastor Paul doesn't say boxer, he says pugilist. He talks about pugilism. "As a heavyweight pugilist, knocking down arguments, bobbing and weaving between seeming complicated issues while landing a lethal combination of oratorical and intellectual power punches, and yet come out unscathed, untouched, and inevitably victorious. You were definitely way above their weight class. You were, as always, erudite, eloquent, and ever the statesman. It was amazing to see the fluidity with which a man of the cloth could effortlessly wear the cloth of a man. We pray that someday our local leaders will bring us as great pride as you have as we watch them interact on global stages. We are honored to live in your life and times, and I'm even more proud to say, that's my pastor." Hello. What nail can I put in the coffin to show all of you that I am not your mate? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And please understand, I wasn't doing all of this because, it's just, you get what I'm saying? It's communication. FD, please.
Can I quickly also say that comment has 19 likes, which is the reason why if you click on Pastor Paul's page, you will see it first, because it has 19 likes, and on top of that, it has 6 replies. So just based on that, almost anybody that goes on Pastor Paul Latifasi, based on that level of engagement, will see that bank. The next level of engagement that you'll see is 3 likes, but I'm just trying to say to you guys, that is definitely the highest number of likes on that, at least that I can see. It's the highest number of likes.
So guys,
proud.
Thank you, sir. So my point really is this: you can get the attention of anyone, but you have to be worth their attention.
Sorry guys. There are 83 people on this platform. Let's do something. Let's just do something interesting. Everybody, let's just go and like that thing right now. Let's just like it. let's just like it. let's just send this thing. Let's send that. Let's just do it. Let's just do it right now, please. Come on, guys. Just like it. Just touch on the heart, right? Just touch on it. And I'm just going to watch that grow right now, guys. I just want to see it. Now it's on 24 likes, right? Let's do it, guys. Let's just do it. Okay, come on, refresh. Let me see. Let's cross 100 likes. Down. No. Let's just do it. 27 likes. Come on, guys. Come on, don't fall my hand. Come on. Let's make this happen. Come on, guys. This is just exciting. Let's just do it. Right?
That's just
right. Let's just do it. Right. Harry, Steve, please keep going. I'll be briefing you as we're going. We're on 32 likes. Look, and there's a reason you are hearing this, and honestly, this is priceless. I'm not sure. I mean, I'll wait for Simi to close this out, after but I mean, what I've been hearing is amazing. Please finish. Please.
I'm done. I'm done.
Oh, wow. Guys.